What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero news we got earlier today. Mainly good news. One thing that's maybe not up to par, but you know what? They didn't get rid of the mode entirely, so I think people will be generally excited about this. So let's just talk about it. They put out about a 7.5 minute trailer that basically breaks it down, but allow me to do it for you. We get 3 different modes that were described in it, one of which is the story type mode, right? Where you're going to be able to play as 8 different characters. Each character will have a set number of missions. The number will vary though, right? And they even say Goku himself will have the most. It should be that way, right? But each character will have a different amount of missions, and it's pretty much going to a location and experiencing a battle. So you have that, but you do have some choices that are going to be kind of scattered here and there, different outcomes that'll happen for different parts of the story, where things will change different from the source material. Sounds pretty cool. We did see some gameplay, like I think different outlets are posting gameplay. One that I saw specifically, I believe, was GameSpot, that really showed more of the cutscenes. It kind of varies between a couple different like graphical styles. One looks more like a comic book like thing with like pictures or frames, right, that kind of get cycled throughout. Then there are actual legitimate cutscenes where you'll be standing next to somebody talking. I believe in this part they even talked about how some moments in these cutscenes they'll even be first person. So, you know, it might be scenarios or things that we've seen before, even in, you know, some of the Tenkaichi games, but a little variety in terms of breaking it up with 8 characters, choices, first person. You know, I think they're doing what kind of needs to be done to generally tell, you know, around the same story we've played before, but to tell it with a little bit of flair. So I'm hyped for that. You know, I think we've seen a lot of that here and there throughout these gameplay trailers we've gotten on the game over the last couple months, and that's the one. That's called Episode Battle. The second one is Custom Battle, and this one sounds awesome. Now, I'm not massively into these things, and it's not out of like dislike for them. It's actually kind of out of talent. Like I don't really have the ability or even the want really to put so much time in to create like a work of art, but I do respect those that do. I think this is actually where the community can shine so bright, and again, it's through these custom battles. So you pretty much set everything up, right? You set your own scenarios, you pick locations, you pick characters, you pick gameplay details that go on in it. It's got cutscenes in the beginning, and I think actually they said sometimes it'll happen in the middle of the battle as well. So this one honestly kind of sounds like a dream mode for those that it's made for, because you just know diehards or even just people that are very talented in the editing side of things, right? They're gonna make some incredible pieces of art, and you can upload it basically to the cloud so other people can experience it. So you're basically creating a scenario, you know, crafting it how you want with different, you know, variables and different you know, just things in general. Then you put it out there for other people to experience. Really cool. And I'm sure I will do other people's. I highly doubt I will be uploading my own, but again, this is where I think some people can really shine. And then they talk about the local co-op. So I want to spend some time talking about this one because I found it to be interesting, right? We had talked about this a lot, and there was the rumor early on that it wasn't going to be in the game. People, including myself, flipped out and said, unacceptable. You know, we know that couch co-op, you know, split screen co-op, it's going away. Like very few games have it, especially, you know, nowadays, 2024, as the years go, that kind of game just tends to die out. But it's what made the older ones so special, and it's a staple. It's really a staple of these games. It came back. It was removed from the PlayStation Store, right? They put it on, put it off. And I'm actually I'll tell you this. I respect them to at least the degree that they explain the reasoning and they kind of talk themselves through it. So they basically say, actually, they outright say in the trailer today, they weren't going for it. And so the theory from other people online was they never were going to do it. We pressured them, and then they did it. And I actually said, I hope that's not true. Turns out it actually is true. They were not going to have this mode in. We pushed them, and they included it. Now, because the game is flat out not made for split-screen co-op, and the reasoning is basically, it sounds like the engine. It sounds like just the destructibility. And to be honest with you, as they were describing some of the more like technical side of like when you're charging up, it affects the environment. A lot of that stuff I never even noticed until, you know, they said it. I think they were showing one specific frame. I forget who it is because I'm recording it, you know, separate from watching. But somebody's charging up and like the trees are shaking. And it's like, oh my God, number one, small, really cool detail. But number two, okay, I guess I get it, right? And to be honest with you, I walked away from their little explanation understanding. So you only get one map, and it's the hyperbolic time chamber. So, I mean, basically, it's got next to nothing going on around it. So you're going to be able to fight. You're going to be able to fight with another person. There's going to be very little around you. You can't pick characters at the same time. I forget if they said you can't even pick the same character, but I know you can't pick the character literally at the same time. So, like, if you're going for one, I'm going for one of us has to go before the other. So it's got some very weird technical limitations to it. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's not up to par with what you would want for a split screen game, right? Like, a lot of that stuff sounds last minute. They threw it in. They're trying their best, I guess, but you know what I mean? Like, they're really stretching it. And so some of these mechanics are, I don't even know if you want to call them dated. They're just like flat out non-existent almost to that point, right? But on the other side of things, I will say, okay, well, at least they bent the knee, and this is a case where you gotta pressure, right? So, I mean, going back, because I defended them, I kind of said, there's no way they would go into this game thinking to not do local co-op. They had to have planned that from the beginning. It must have been a miscommunication. No, you know, there was a trade-off. They were going for more of the, not like realism, because I wouldn't necessarily call it realistic, but they want to put you in the shoes of these characters. They want to make it real as it possibly can be, right? And in order to do that, you're pushing certain things, you're pushing the systems. You can't split that in half and do it twice at the same time. And I do understand that to a degree. I guess you have to kind of understand that all the way. Like, if that's the reason, that's the reason. And, you know, am I going to spend too much time playing it, local co-op? I mean, I'm going to try to convince my wife to play it with me, but I don't think I'm going to spend eternity playing it with friends. But it's a main feature. It's a feature that needed to be in the game. And it's very boiled down. And, you know, at the end of the day, I guess it's good enough, at least for right now. And maybe they can add to it over time. I kind of doubt it, but, you know, there's always kind of the hope there. But at least it's, you know, partially in the game. And I guess actually the inverse of that, B, it's not in the game, right? Because that would have been bad. So I'm glad they talked about it. I'm glad they explained it. And they definitely have a piece of my respect for simply coming out and explaining where they were heading with this game in the beginning, why it didn't have it, why it has it now, but why it's limited. They definitely have some respect for me just for saying it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel. Bell icons are on. I hope to see you all on the next one.